Hi everyone, my name is Alden, and today we're going to learn how to use chromatography to make some awesome color designs on fabric. I'm usually an engineering student at OSU, so I'm excited to get to learn some chemistry alongside you today. So, what is chromatography? Well, in Latin, chrom means color, and graph means to write. So today we're going to be writing with color, kind of. Before we start, let's go through everything we're going to need for this project. You'll need rubbing alcohol or isopropyl alcohol. You'll need permanent markers. You'll need a teaspoon or a pipette. You're going to need a rubber band, a glass or a jar, and then some cotton fabric, which you can get from a fabric store. You can use maybe an old t-shirt or piece of clothing, or you can also use a coffee filter or a paper towel, which is what I'm going to be using. Alright, now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's learn a little bit about the science going on here. Let's start with solubility. When something is soluble, that means that it can dissolve and become part of something else. Sugar is soluble in water, which is why you can stir sugar into your tea and it seems to just disappear. It's actually just becoming dissolved by the hot water. An easy way to tell if things can dissolve each other is whether they are polar. No, not that kind of polar. Polarity measures how badly something wants electrons, which are the little pieces of electricity that are inside everything. Water is an example of something polar. If something is polar, it can dissolve other polar things, but it cannot dissolve something nonpolar. And if something is nonpolar, it can dissolve other nonpolar things, but it cannot dissolve something polar. Now, as you've probably learned, permanent markers don't wash off very easily. That's why they're called permanent markers, and that's why your parents always want you to be careful with them. This is because the ink is nonpolar, so it can't be dissolved by water, which we know is polar. But is the ink soluble in anything else? It turns out it is soluble in rubbing alcohol, which is also nonpolar. Alright, I think we're ready to get started and apply what we've learned. Alright, let's get started. First, let's make sure we have a parent or guardian helping us the whole time. We're going to start by filling our teaspoon or pipette, if you have one, with alcohol, just like I have here. Now, we're going to take our paper towel and we're going to put it on top of the cup, and then we're going to use the rubber band to secure it in place. This way, we're going to have a circle of paper towel at the top that's going to be tightened down by the rubber band. You want the rubber band to go all the way around, just like mine does. Now, it's time to draw. You can draw whatever you want, but it's going to bleed a little, so a design like a few circles, or I think I'm going to try and make kind of a pie or a flower, is better than writing a message or maybe trying to draw something like an animal, because like I said, it might bleed a little bit and it might not come out exactly how you want it to. Now while you finish drawing, I'm going to remind us about a little bit of the science going on here. Now the marker ink, which is nonpolar, is set in the paper towel. Can we dissolve it with water? No, because water's polar, remember? What we need is something nonpolar. So let's add some rubbing alcohol. Now I want to show you what happens if you try this with water rather than rubbing alcohol. So here's one of my designs. And as I put it underneath the water, you can see the paper towel getting extremely wet, but the design doesn't bleed at all. Now we don't need very much, so we're going to carefully drip it just a little bit at a time from the spoon onto the ink. And we're going to drip a little bit, and then we're going to wait, and we're going to see exactly what happens. And it takes place pretty quickly, so you don't have to wait very long. I'm just going to put a few drops on there, and you can already see, look at the awesome stuff that's starting to happen to my paper towel. I'm going to cut ahead until mine is fully formed. So let's call it there. All you have to do now is wait a little bit longer for the alcohol on top to dry, which won't take very long. And then all you're going to do is take the rubber band off of the top, and then you're going to be left with your awesome creation, which you can hang up or you can do whatever you want with it. And the best part is, since our washing machines use water, which we know is polar, this thing's going to be permanent. You can wash your t-shirt or your fabric or your paper towel whenever you want. And I also encourage you to try out lots of different colors, because as you can see, some of the colors react differently. Some of them separate more, some of them move faster or farther. Make as many of these as you want. Well, I hope you all had as much fun as I did learning about solubility, polarity, and chromatography today. I'll see you next time.